What's up, party people? Outrage TV live on a Sunday. Beautiful Sunday afternoon. Oh man, glad to be here with you all. Wait till this list gets populated a little bit and share this out on Facebook. What's up, whoever you are just showed up? I see you in there. You lovely, dedicated viewer there. Don't be shy. Say what's up in the chat. Don't be shy. Let's share this out on Facebook right here and get the little party started. Let's get the Sunday party started. I don't even see myself live on the YouTube here. There we go. All right. Let's share it out. Share it out on the Facebook. Yeah, we're gonna get into some some lovely back and forth discussions I'm having on Facebook with these brilliant leftist thinkers out there. Okay, Outrage Cast Live. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening? What's happening on a Sunday? I'm feeling good. I had my little breakfast there, went out and got some sun, and I'm all caffeinated up, all Perrier'd up in here, man. And feeling good on a Sunday. My football picks were not good today. Playing a little DraftKings, I invested in Matt Ryan. That was a terrible choice. Playing the Cowboys, he had a fucking dud. And so yeah, we're here on this beautiful Sunday under the racist billionaire president's the racist billionaire idiot's tyrant regime. We're under it right now, and it's really sad that we couldn't be under Hillary right now. That we couldn't have a no-fly zone over Syria. We couldn't be starting more shit with Russia, because that's what I feel like we're missing in society right now is thermonuclear war. Like, we missed a big opportunity to go to war with a nuclear superpower when we didn't elect Hillary to the position that she deserves. She's our president, and Trump is not my president. I don't know about you. But Trump's the kind of president who concentrates on economic prosperity and having diplomatic talks with people like Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. He just doesn't have the balls that Hillary had. That's what we need in the Oval Office. We need more balls like Hillary has. Like Trump can't even carry Hillary's jock, she makes him look like a cuckold, the cuckolds in the porn films there. That's what Hillary makes Trump look like, because now we're in the racist apocalyptic America that is Trump's America. I mean, look to your left, look to your right. You probably just saw a KKK Grand Wizard. Statistically, it's just true. You know, kind of like the climate change apocalypse that's happening. Statistically, I don't have to give you statistics. I can just say statistically. Um, I mean, I don't have to give you any statistics. I mean, scientists agree. So you either deny science or you don't. You either deny racism or you're a Trump supporter. So it's very clear what's going on in America right now, and I think it's just sad that that we destroyed ISIS. You know, like Trump pretty much crippled ISIS. They're nothing now, and it's like, what happened to the whole fun thing where we were like arming and training them? Like that was kind of exciting, you know? Like we could, like under Obama and with Hillary as the Secretary of State, that was kind of the cool, like edgy thing we were doing. It was like, yeah, let's call them the rebels, you know, but we know what's really going on. All right, they're the they're the boogeyman, and we're gonna finance them because we want to keep them going, and like problem reaction solution, so we can kind of keep control over the Middle East, and work with Saudi Arabia, and don't worry about being energy independent. No, don't worry about that. We're just gonna, side with Saudi Arabia and then take over the Middle East by, using ISIS as kind of a proxy army. Let's just fund them, and it's fun, right? But we missed all of that, and now we're stuck with this billionaire idiot as our president. Some people think you have to be smart to become a billionaire, but he got $1 million head start, so money makes itself. Once you have money, you just make more money. Ask any NBA or NFL player. Those people never lose their money. Okay? Once you have money, you can basically just grow it like peaches on a tree. Okay? You basically are planting your own money trees once you have some money. Nobody loses money. You look at these lottery winners. They're all doing great. Once you have money, all your problems are over, right? And so that's why the big redistribution state, is good, because once there's no like skill behind making money, or it's kind of like just privilege and power and luck. Like as soon as we take the rich people's money and give it to the poor people will start behaving like rich people, because that's how money works. There's no behavioral spine to it, and it's just magic money power. And that's socialism, and that's what we could have had with Hillary, but now we're stuck with this whole bullshit, like personal responsibility, like capitalism thing. Wah, wah. You gotta make your own money. The government's not just gonna give it to you. We're having fun today, everybody. Welcome. Share it out. Share out the Outrage cast. Oh, dude. I was having some fun on Facebook, man. Oh, because this guy posted a Trump tweet, and he's like, oh my God, Trump is a total idiot. I can't believe we have this science-denying white supremacist leader in the White House, and it's just so terrible. And it's like, the willful ignorance people can have toward reality is just astounding to me, man. It's just, they get saturated in this mainstream media way of perceiving what's happening with Donald Trump. And, you know, if you've missed it to this point, I don't think you're ever going to get it. Like, if you still to this point, like, are believing all of the media attacks on Donald Trump, uh, that that he's some kind of racist, even though he's never actually said anything racist. Never said or done anything racist, but you know, he just gets attached with the label, kind of like Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. He's a gang rapist, because that's what we say he is. Okay. Uh, and then like the total disconnection of reality of like this is like a terrible time in America. And you know, Trump's riding the wave that Obama created with his economy. Even though Obama, you know, added $10 trillion to the debt and bailed out the banks that financed his campaign, and you know, but the main thing is that those big banks that got bailed out by Obama, the main thing is they support Obama and they're not racist. So I'm happy to live under, you know, oligarchical rule from the mega banks. I'm happy that they, you know, stole trillions of dollars of taxpayer money to keep themselves afloat and cut out their competition and work with the government and create monopolies. It's good that they did that because they're not racist. They didn't, you know, they didn't criticize Obama like some people, like some orange people, okay? Some of these orange billionaire idiot president people, who just think that they can criticize Obama and not be called racist. It's pretty absurd, okay? I mean, you just got to take, you know, take the pegging that the banks give you, because that's anti-racism. That's being a good person. What up, Brian? You're not one of those filthy racists, are you? You love Obama, don't you? You love it when would topple the regime in Libya, and then we fund and arm ISIS, and then they take over Libya, and then they have open slave trading. I mean, you're probably against that or something. You're probably one of those racists who's against slavery. I mean, what are you thinking? Obama should be considered the most racist president of all time because his direct actions, his foreign policy actions led to now the only modern practice of slavery, you know, in our lifetimes. Yo, TJWK. What's going on, party people? Share this out on Facebook. We're having some fun today, man. Talking about the evils of our orange tinted billionaire idiot president. You know, and how he's just riding the wave of Obama's surging recovery, and you know, Trump just thinks that he can go and make a dick joke and a nuclear war threat in the same tweet, and then make peace with North Korea, and it's just like we're all gonna be cool with that, you know. Peace with North Korea. Oh boy, big fucking deal, Trump. Well, you misspelled something in your tweet, okay? And it was a little classless. So that's what really matters. That's what really matters, is that you manage my emotions with your tweets. And why are we not at war with Russia right now? Bombs bursting in air, that's patriotic. Why don't Obama knew how to drop a bomb, okay? He knew that drone attacks, it's okay if you kill some civilians. He knew that, okay? It's not complicated, Trump. You know? I mean, Hillary knew what to do. If she got in, she knew what to do. She was going to reinstitute the draft, and she was going to send some of these entitled, privileged, fucking straight white males out there. She was going to send them off, rightfully so, out into the tundra to fight Ivan Drago because we like Sylvester Stallone, okay? We don't think Rocky is like some average movie. It was great because it reinforced not propaganda, but the truth that we need to, sometimes you need to go to war, right? And it's, we needed a no-fly zone over Syria, and the left used to be anti-war, but they grew some balls over time, I mean, it's not about being anti-war. It's not about this whole peace agenda that Trump is into peace and prosperity. Oh, that's what we really want. This billionaire idiot president thinking that he can. I kept calling him a billionaire idiot president on on Facebook just to trigger people, because it's like people make fun of Trump's intelligence so much when they in reality probably have half of his IQ, and they can't realize that like most of these things that they call him out for being an idiot for are usually he's trolling the media for attention. And because let me tell you, you don't do what Trump has done in his life without some significant IQ horsepower. Okay, you don't you don't get in the real estate business and be that successful without some goddamn shark level, negotiation tactics. Like, that dude is unstoppable. And supposedly he's this moron, but the entire leftist media intellectual complex can't figure out how to defeat him. Oh, if he's so dumb, perhaps just outsmarting him would be the play. But they haven't managed to do it yet. They're still working on that outsmarting Donald Trump thing. He's an idiot, but we haven't figured out how to beat him yet. It's so fun, man. These 2020 elections coming up, man, I'm already looking forward to it, dude. It's gonna be so fun. Whoever the Democrats, whoever their pathetic candidate is, they roll out. It's it's like a sacrifice to it's like a Roman Colosseum like sacrifice. Like, whoever's going to go up against Trump, it's going to be fun to watch. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're hanging out on Sunday. Hanging out on a beautiful Sunday out here in Los Angeles. I might actually I forgot to email myself that set from last night. I had a pretty good set at the fourth wall last night. We might go over it a little bit. But yeah, I was doing a little trolling on Facebook today, and it's so fun, man, because these people are just so just overinflated egos, man, and they try to like pump themselves up by calling Trump an idiot. Like, have you accomplished 1/1000th of anything that dude in his life has? It's just so funny, man. It's so absurd. Well, I'm an open mic comedian with a podcast that no one listened to, but this president, what an idiot. And ridiculing the people in power is, it's something that I encourage because I'm a libertarian anarchist. I don't want there to be anybody in power. But as far as having somebody opposed to Hillary Clinton, I mean, give me Donald Trump all day. He's a competent motherfucker. Knows how to balance a budget sheet. Yeah, dude. Hillary knows how to balance her public and private positions. Okay? The delicate balance of being totally full of shit. Yeah, dude. What is going on here? Let's check out Drudge Report. Because I don't know, I think I may have to minimize this on my phone to be able to email myself the set from last night. But I was basically talking about this chick who had come to my apartment complex, and she was looking for an apartment. And I'm the assistant manager here, so I show all the vacants. And she came here, and she was attractive girl, but dressed down, kind of conservative. She had glasses and overalls on, and just these jean overalls. And it took me a second to notice how ridiculous her body was. I was looking at her, I was like, man, she's covering up those titties with those overalls, but god damn, they're just trying to escape, aren't they? All these people are commenting on my I wrote these long satire pieces on Facebook about how we needed Hillary's balls in the White House to go to war with Russia, and and how we live in an apocalyptic racist country because of Trump. But yeah, this chick was looking for an apartment, and she said she was going to school to be a pianist, learn how to play piano. And she handed in all her papers and everything, and then I handed them in to my manager, and he was like, "Oh, she's a stripper." And I was like, "Oh, really?" She works at Showgirls, and so I started getting excited about having her come into the complex, and I started having, fantasies about some damn piano lessons, dude. She's gonna be, because stripper is kind of more appealing to, but okay, I started getting excited. Then she doesn't get the apartment right, so I'm like, all right, whatever. Then my manager started telling me, but I did see her. Somebody did send me a video where she's all over the internet. She's a porn star, and I was like, well, maybe it's better that it didn't happen then, because once you've been gangbanged by giant black dudes, I mean, what am I really gonna offer you? I'm a damn fine prospect for a white dude, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, ladies and gentlemen? But that's what I'm trying to do here at the apartment complex. I'm trying to invite beautiful women in here. I'm trying to have some goddamn low-level Hugh Hefner situation going on, trying to get some piano lessons, man. Yeah, dude. Slowly trying to work my way up to manager of this apartment complex. And, get in with these wonderful Jewish people out here in Hollywood. Make some business partnerships. Oklahoma German meet Hollywood Jew. Let's reconcile. Let's reconcile our historical differences, and let's make some stuff happen out here. All right, so what's going on in the world? What's going on? Trump is out here in California checking out the fire zone. You know, he's out here to meet up with it. There was a white supremacist rally. I think he was coming to dog whistle. Somehow that's a dog whistle to his white supremacist supporters that he's out here checking out the aftermath of the fire. We should be able to connect that to some kind of racism, shouldn't we? Trump called Adam Schiff Little Adam Shit. I'm frankly glad that the presidency is kind of being denigrated by Trump's just blatant shit talking. I kind of like it. I kind of like that because the presidency shouldn't hold as much weight as it does. The government shouldn't be nearly as big as it is. So the presidency shouldn't have nearly as much sway as it does. This is why you see like this political polarization and the like infighting and back and forth arguments and shit. And it's like the end of the world arguments when like the country's really not doing that bad. But when you got a government that big that holds that much influence, that's why you get this like hand on the neck, like fuck you arguments like back and forth politically to see who holds the, you know, the sword of power. But yeah, I'm kind of glad that, you know, because with Obama, you had him doing horrible shit and sounding reasonable. He would always sound very reasonable, and he would sound very measured and presidential. And he would talk like this. And I know I didn't tell you about the drone program, but we killed some civilians, and we're working on toppling that regime in Libya. Okay, we came, we saw, he died. Hillary laughed. All right. And now they have open slave trade in Libya, and that's okay. Because if you disagree with me, you're racist, even though my decisions have resulted in modern slavery. So, speaking of modern slavery, you have to get health care. You don't have a choice. All right, because we're into consent here on the left. And I know you didn't consent to bailing out the banks, but we went ahead and did it for you. Because they financed my campaign, and they're not racist either. So, yeah. I know I added $10 trillion to the debt, but if you don't like adding $10 trillion to the debt, you're probably racist anyway. So, I know a lot of people who voted for me also voted for Donald Trump, but I don't know how you got racist so quick. It's very confusing how all these people who voted for me also voted for Donald Trump and immediately flipped and became racist in 2 months or less. It's all very confusing. These are the things you have to hold in your head if you're trying to keep this story straight and like not just go insane from like the inconsistencies of the propaganda in the leftist brain. Like it's got to be so exhausting. That's why these people flip out in these arguments on social media. Is like their worldview is so fragile and like brittled, like barely being held together in their head. And any like counter facts or counter arguments or counter narratives that go against the story they're telling themselves in their head, it like short circuits their brain and they can't handle it. And then like I'll get like I guarantee I'm gonna get like 10 or 15 more comments on Facebook of people flipping out and he's separating children at the border. I love that when they go into that CNN talking point. Trump separating children at the border. It's so relentlessly dumb, dude. It's so aggressively dumb to pretend like this policy of separating adults and children at the border hasn't been going on under every single president that has ever served in this country. Every single president has had that happen under them. Children, adults being separated at the border. First of all, you don't know if they're actually parents and children because they don't have genetic testing on the border. And they don't want to put the adults and the children in the same holding cells because a lot of these coyotes and people who are the quote unquote adults or parents in these like deranged people's heads, they're taking advantage of a lot of women and children along the way across the border. That's a lot of what happens. You know, a huge percentage of these women and children get sexually assaulted when they're trying to come across the border illegally. So you don't know if it's the parent of the child or if it's a coyote that like hasn't gotten an opportunity to be alone with this child yet, and so you put them in a holding situation together. Somebody's doing the raping, Don. Somebody's doing the raping. But just like this, I get this image in their head of like Trump ordered this to happen because he's a demon who doesn't care about children. And, you know, he just wants to put them in cages. You know, Obama added $10 trillion to the debt, doubled the national debt. What does that do to the children and their future? Oh, children, you just got another $50,000 a piece added to the lifetime tax debt you owe to your benevolent government. You're welcome. Okay. Oh, dude. Drone strikes Obama ordered actually killed children. As far as I can tell, Trump isn't bombing children. But, you know, if you don't want to bomb children, you're probably racist because Obama did it. Therefore, there's the blueprint to not being racist. You just support whatever Obama did because his skin is brown. You support what he did, or you're a grand wizard. Yeah, dude. Trump separating children at the border. He's down there saying, get apart. I hate children. I hate. Fuck you. You know. It's so absurd, dude. It's so absurd. Yeah, I might, let's see. If I minimize this, do I go away? Okay, yeah, it probably paused it. Yeah, I think it pauses it if I minimize the app. But I was trying to send my set over from last night. But anyway, we don't have to listen to the comedy set today. But I had a pretty good set last night talking about the type of tenants I'm looking for my apartment complex. Oh, dude. Can you put your bra size down on the application there? And we're looking for some specific measurements. We're looking for that 34, 26, 34. Yeah, dude, I'm trying to recruit some high quality tenants around here, man. Donald Trump has some high quality taste in women. That's what I feel like that's what Robert Mueller has found so far in the Russia investigation. They keep looking for treason and working with Vladimir Putin, and he's just, he just keeps finding, porn stars, hookers, and supermodels that Donald Trump has banged. He's like, more titties and ass, damn it, again. It's got to be frustrating for old Robert Mueller there, trying to find anything actually wrong with what Trump has done. Meanwhile, it didn't take too long to find out what Hillary had done wrong, and the FBI basically admitted it, but they were like, well, she's a woman, she probably didn't mean to do it, She probably didn't even know what she was doing. She didn't have any intent to break the law. I know she had a private server in her house, and it was in her bathtub actually, and it was super secretive, and there was lots of classified information on that server that was easily accessible and hackable by any foreign government worth their salt and any kind of computer access capability. Anybody who wanted it was getting it. All of our state secrets. And who knows, they could have it out there waiting to just hang it over our head in a blackmail situation, but she didn't intend to do it, so we're not going to prosecute. She's a woman, we're with her. That's what the FBI said. But, that was a big factor in the election, just how bad the optics were of her getting literally investigated by the FBI as she's trying to run a campaign for president. And she's just passing out in broad daylight on normal days in New York on the September 11th anniversary or whatever. He's having this hacking, coughing fits. I really hope she runs again in 2020, because that's just, I can bring back all that old comedy material and and go back in on old Hell Dog there. I hope she does, man. I hope Nancy Pelosi keeps on the forefront of the leftist agenda. I hope Hillary Clinton runs again. I hope Maxine Waters stays very vocal, because that's all the better chance to have Trump win again and have him hopefully cut down some of the size of government. I don't even know, philosophically, if Trump understands how important that is, but he sees the value in cutting taxes. Who knows, man? It's a better chance than anybody on the left who gets in, who's just their main party platform is radically expand everything, even though we already have the biggest government in the history of the planet. It needs to be bigger. We need to have the government in free college, free healthcare. Anytime you hear free, that means radical expansion of government power into another sector of the economy. Socialism is just incomplete communism. Socialism is, part of the puzzle that's put together that makes the full landscape of communism. We need to put the pieces in place, okay? And Hillary was actually dressing like a communist dictator in those weird like smocks with the collar. She was so in dictator mode, dude, like making war threats to Russia and uh, calling half the country deplorable, you know. Basically telling the in those bank speeches that the transcripts of that she wants open borders and um, it's all about multiculturalism and diversity. Okay, don't be racist, white people. Don't be racist. Third world immigrants are just like uh, your friends and family. Okay, and they understand all the principles that go into uh, the founding principles of the United States and the Constitution. They understand it. Okay, I know it hasn't been implemented in their third world countries, and it probably hasn't been printed up in their language, but they're not going to be swayed by the left giving them welfare benefits and letting them vote without an ID. It's not going to. Don't worry about that. Okay, that's a conspiracy theory purveyed by the likes of Alex Jones and KKK grand wizards like him. Okay, um, the same people who told you the bailout of the banks was bad. They're the people, okay, that want to hunt black people. It's just true. It's just true. Man, I'm in a good mood today. How's everybody feeling out there? Who's watching? We got any regulars in the I can't even see the list of people who's here. Say what's up to me if you're so inclined. Hey, what's up, Brain Eater? It's the Brain Eater. I didn't even see you earlier. I was off on a damn rant. Ranting about the evils of this idiot billionaire president. Because it doesn't take any intelligence to make $1 billion. You just have to be white. Okay? You just have to be white and racist. And then white, racist, billionaire. It just happens because America is so racist that they will just fund you naturally. You can just start a Kickstarter, say, I'm white, I'm racist, $1 billion. And that's how it happens in racist America in 2018, everybody. I mean, it's just true. That's how it happens. And, frankly, I don't get why the left wants to open up the borders and let all these poor immigrants in. Because I don't even know why the immigrants want to come in the first place. The left is just inviting them into this dungeon of racists here in America. This hateful dungeon, this hateful apocalyptic demonic dungeon called 2018 America. I don't understand why the left would want to lead them basically into Auschwitz. What these poor innocent immigrants that are just trying to cross the border, not illegally but undocumentedly. Okay, I don't know why the left wants to feed them into the gas chamber known as racist America in 2018. It's just so... What are you talking about? What's the most beta crap ever? Inviting the immigrants? Dog runner? What are you referring to, sir? I think it's horribly insensitive for the left to want open borders and to want these third world immigrants to come in and just experience the horrible racism of America. It's horrible. These white people who want to do business with them and give them jobs and, support their lifestyle and welfare and openly have their wallets robbed so they can survive. And it's just, horribly racist. No, I wonder what it is about white people. Like, white people just have this guilt complex that, like, you can call them racist and they'll do whatever you say. Like, no other, like, you can't tell that to Asian people, especially Chinese people. You can't tell that to Chinese people. You can't tell that to Jews in Israel. Both of those countries have big walls around their country and mostly homogeneous populations of basically just, it's us. This is our country. Fuck off. That's what they say. And nobody ever calls Jews in Israel racist. Nobody ever calls Chinese people racist. It's only white people. I think part of it is because of the Dog Runner. I think you're confusing some of my satire for. I'm not being serious. I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump. This is Outrage TV. Okay, we make fun of the left. It's a satire show, so don't. Sometimes I get off on riffs of satire, and it may sound like I'm being serious, but yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. We're down with reality on this channel. Okay. Sometimes I just get off into goofy land. But what was I talking about? Somebody just remind me what I was just saying. Something about. Oh, I think the reason that everybody gives shit for white people for wanting to enforce their border laws, and they don't give shit to Chinese people or Jewish people in Israel, is that white people historically are perceived to be these imperial colonialists that come in and like ravage your country. Like that whole narrative of the white Europeans came over and committed genocide against the Native Americans, and it was just a horrible atrocity. And that is a total false narrative. The Europeans came over, and what they met was, people always say this is a nation of immigrants, right? A nation of immigrants. The Europeans came over here. They didn't encounter a nation. What they encountered was a big patch of dirt with 1,000 different native tribes all trying to cut each other's head off simultaneously. And that's a pretty tumultuous situation to step into. And then when you bring in the germs that the Europeans were carrying over, that the immune systems of the Native Americans weren't capable of dealing with, disease spread naturally. There wasn't smallpox blankets that were deliberately handed off to the Native Americans. It was largely an accidental spread of disease that caused 90% of the deaths of the Native Americans. And then, of course, there was some warring back and forth, but it wasn't like the natives were just totally innocent and, never attacked the Europeans either. Yeah, the germ thing is a lie, because there was no germ theory of disease. Stefan Molyneux pointed that out. Nobody knew, like, oh, I'm sick, let me cough on this blanket and give it to somebody else and then they'll get sick. Like, there was no Nobody knew that. It was like mystical, like how disease spread. Hey, let me be right back. I'm gonna get a drink of water real quick. All right. But yeah, it's that contradiction of like it's that contradiction of, oh, the left is looking out for these poor third world immigrants and they deserve a better life and they should come to America where all these racist Trump supporters are. Is that the better life that they're looking for, instead of like living in their own country and living by the precepts of their own culture and around their own people and with their own customs and everything? No, they should move across the planet, assimilate to a different culture, learn a different language, and cross across a desert, go across a border illegally, try to avoid border patrol, live somewhere in the country illegally, surrounded by all these evil racists who don't want them to be there. Oh, sounds like such a better life. You know. Again, dog runner, you got to be a little more. Perceptive than this. It's satire when I say racist Trump supporters. That's what the left thinks of Trump supporters. Trump supporters largely are not racist. The country, I think racism overall is way down in America in 2018. But the main purveyors of racism are now coming from the left wing, and it's against white people. The whole diversity agenda, the whole continuing of affirmative action, the chastising white people for just having any self-interest. If you have any self-interest as a white person, Nazi. If you have any backbone at all, white supremacist. If you voted for Trump, oh my God, horrible racist Nazi bigot. Just because you didn't want, yeah. If you want, if you don't want the total socialist / communist takeover of the country, you're sexist because you didn't like Hillary Clinton. But yeah, I think racism fundamentally, like people hating other people based on their ethnicity, is like at an all-time low. And I don't even think it, like you said, it fundamentally doesn't even exist. What exists is people perceiving behavior patterns that they don't like. I don't think it's fundamentally tied to any individual's race. It's people don't like the criminality that you see that goes on in a lot of the black community. Like black males are like 6% of the entire population, and they're committing almost 50% of the murders. And so it's not racist to like be extra suspicious of, you know, the people that are statistically most likely to be committing the murders. And that's like what's perceived as like all these racist cops. Race, we are all one human race. Um, I think there are tendencies and genetic things that happen that on large scale that you can look at in different races. Um, there are genetic tendencies. You can never judge any individual by those tendencies, but there are genetic tendencies. Like there are genetic tendencies toward IQ or athleticism or fill in the blank. Yeah, regional stressors, absolutely, through evolution. The people that had the harsher climates they had to live through have the, yeah, ethnicity is probably a better word, yeah. Um, they had to live through the harsher climates and think long term to like plan for survival. Um, if I'm not going to starve this winter, I better, harvest enough crops slowly at a time so I can last through winter without starving. So you had to think long term and plan ahead, and that generally self selects for higher IQ. The people that survive those situations are thinking better long term, planning for the long term. Whereas in like the African savannah, that wasn't selected as much evolutionarily. It was who's the most athletic hunter, who can bring home the most meat to the tribe. Uh, Making mobile mining great again. That's what was, because food was abundant. You didn't have to grow crops in Africa. Food is all around you. You just have to harvest it or kill it. And you're an ethnicist. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah. But it's all about getting white people to shut up and to not talk about reality. It's all about getting white people to shut up and accept third world immigration and accept demographic changes and and accept Obama's agenda, and accept him bailing out the banks and doubling the national debt, adding 10 trillion to the debt, accept the drone strikes, accept the collapsing of Libya and funding of rebels that turned out to be ISIS. Whoops, sorry. Don't be racist though. Not my fault. And they were going to do the same thing with Hillary with sexism. You just don't like her because she's the woman. And it's like, no, I don't like that statement because it denigrates women in general, like we can't hold them accountable for their own actions. Oh yeah, that's a weird situation because we're seeing it in our lifetime of like the foundation of Europe crumbling. And Britain is trying to get away from it and maintain some independence and some culture and some identity with Brexit. And I don't even know what's happening with Brexit. Like, it's just not going to happen now. Like, they're just not accepting the vote. And that's one of the most open, like, brazen, like, bureaucratic, like, shows of power. Like, they're just baring their teeth and like, yeah, you're going to stay in the EU, aren't you? And it's like, whoa, that's what happens when you get a big unelected bureaucracy running your country and you give them all the power and you're like, well, we can't say no to the EU. It's a coalition of community and we're just all one big community and we're collectivists. We come together and we're in a collective. That's what happens when you lose your individuality and you lose your choice. You lose your ability to choose what you want for your own life, and you have people that you had no say in electing, you have them making decisions for you then. That's what collectivism is. It's it's giving up your own autonomy in favor of some like nebulous promise for protection and safety. And it never comes. It goes back to, I think it was Benjamin Franklin, if you give up your freedom for safety, you end up with neither. And it's just so fucking true, man. It's so fucking true. But yeah, I have fun trolling people online about Trump because the outrage is just so overblown, and it's compared to what he's actually doing, how the economy is actually working, how we're making peace agreements with Russia and North Korea, and we're trying to trade with China, and we're trying to ease tensions in the Middle East, and you know, he's a negotiator. He's a businessman, and he's fundamentally a master of the business cycle, or the news cycle. Sorry, the news cycle. And that's a lot of what he's doing in on Twitter and everything. Is he's saying something incendiary to get your attention, so he can stay in the news feed over and over, and he can get his agenda through, because then the opposition doesn't even have a message. It's all about not Trump, everything but Trump. But I have fun trolling people about Trump because he was just the stalwart to get in there and stop Hillary, at least stop the advancement of this. Like, the main party line on the left now is just straight up communism. It's just straight up, let's socialize the universities, socialize healthcare, bring everything into the government. Let's make the government even bigger. Let's raise taxes, and that's the path to tyranny. And at least we got Trump in there to stop that downward spiraling, swirling the toilet bowl path of letting the big banks take over the country, letting all these communist professors infiltrate the universities and teach propaganda to students, and letting healthcare be taken over by the government, so the government gets to decide what you have to pay for your healthcare, and what's covered and what's not, and what's your deductible, and which doctor you get to go to, and the government gets to run your life. Is the main party line of the Democratic Party now. Yes, cultural Marxism, absolutely. And neo-Marxism, because the class envy didn't work as well. Like, traditional Marxism was like, oh, the working class is getting oppressed by the employer, and that didn't work so well because everybody wants to be rich. And so you can only build so much resentment against the rich because everyone aspires to be rich. Everybody wants to have money. So you can only build so much resentment against. That's why I kept calling Trump a billionaire idiot, because it's such a contradiction. Yeah, and that was the flip. They went from classism, because that wasn't working as well, everybody wants to be rich, to divide and conquer by race and quote unquote power dynamics. And that's when they came up with the concept of white privilege. And so anything white people say can be dismissed as part of their perspective of privilege, and they're just so out of touch with everybody, and they don't understand anything that goes on in the minority experience, and they play each other off. They play us off against each other. I'm glad that my satire got you triggered, Doug Brenner. We're triggering we're equal opportunity triggering around here. Okay. I was thinking about calling myself Nick the Trigger Man Jordan on stage. The Trigger Man. Kind of like one of my favorite comics of all time, the Dice Man. I need to have like a moniker I go by. Trigger. like the Lone Ranger's horse and shit, you know. But that was the flip that they did. It's that I don't know if you've seen the clips on YouTube by that Soviet defector Yuri Bezmendikov, but he talks about this subversion that happens with cultural Marxism and with communist professors and stuff. They slowly subvert the culture into this nihilistic, atheistic, and I'm an atheist, but I do have fundamental moral principles that I go by that are abstract and kind of hard for, you know, the regular person to understand, but, you know, I think that's the way forward. But they subvert the culture and play people off against each other by race and gender, and it's all fundamentally aimed at taking down the majority producers in the country, the straight white males. Yeah, I just use it as a term because people colloquially understand what I'm talking about. Minority. What would you suggest different, Dog Runner? I like talking to you, buddy. You're on top of your shit over there. Um, but yeah, so that's how they combat the ideas of small government, the Renaissance, separation of church and state, the Bill of Rights, all of this beautiful shit that white Western Europeans have come up with. They combat that with, uh, oh, you have white privilege, so you don't understand the experience of minorities, so what you say doesn't really even matter. And that's how they separate people. I'm sorry about that, buddy. I don't know. It looks smooth on my end. Um, but yeah, that's how they separate people, is with that cultural Marxist narrative. And then you can, anytime you don't have an argument for when somebody disproves what you're saying, you can then get offended. You can then call them a racist or a sexist or a misogynist or a xenophobe, or, you know, a science denier if you're skeptical at all about the settled science of climate change, which is total horse shit. You exhale carbon dioxide, so that means you got to pay Al Gore and Leonardo DiCaprio money. Um, so yeah, dude, that's how they divide uh, people up on the left now, and that's like their main party line is like identity politics and straight up communism for their economics. It's pretty scary shit, you know, if they were to get power. So I'm glad that their leaders are as ridiculous as their ideas are. That's the one saving grace. If they had like another Obama type, like a smooth, charismatic guy pushing these communistic ideas, like Bernie Sanders was almost even charismatic enough for that. They had to conspire against him in the DNC to get him from beating Hillary, which is scary with how big of a lunatic moron Bernie Sanders is. Um, how ridiculously terrible and incorrect his ideas are, how horrifically, like, economically ignorant his platforms are, and like how far he got is super scary. And he even caused Hillary to morph some of her platform to his, because his groundswell was so big. And like, I knew reasonable people on the left that just like, they were like, yeah, Bernie's my guy. And I'm like, man, they really don't teach anything about economics in school. Like, you just don't understand how idiotic and counterproductive everything that Bernie Sanders is suggesting would be for the country. Like, oh my God, talk about an immediate economic collapse. If we tried to institute everything Bernie Sanders said and like put all these government bureaucrats in power over all of these institutions and societies, yeah, it's really unbelievable how well the propaganda of the left works. because it's so like it's built into our reptile brains to like have be skeptical of people who aren't like us, and like that division shit really works, and people are in general not uh um I mean, you need a certain IQ level to be interested in abstract economic ideas and what works and what doesn't. So, I mean, if you're going to prey on any ignorance, preying on economic ignorance is a pretty safe bet, because I know people who've gone to school, literally gone to university programs to learn about economics, and they will still preach to me about the value of government regulation and intervention, and all this protectionism, and the market can't be trusted to work on its own, and FDR saved the country in the Great Depression, and it's all horseshit. It's all horseshit. Everything the government touches economically turns to horseshit, ladies and gentlemen, because it fundamentally corrupts the incentives that make the free market work. They demonize profit and greed, and I mean, these infinite desires and the desire to make profit is what causes people to do a good job or provide a good service in the free market for a low price to outcompete their competition. That's how you know that, I mean, when you have a multiplicity of choice, that's how you know you're going to get a good product for a good service. When you have one product like Obamacare that's state sponsored, you know you're going to get a terrible service for an inflated price, because you have no other choice, and they know you have no other choice. So what's their incentive to do their best job? There is none. And once you understand economic incentives and how the market works, then you'll never be tempted by this Bernie Sanders nonsense. But if you can get people to ignore that and not study economics and not understand how the free market works, it's easy to demonize it. It's easy to demonize it. Oh, profit and greed and these bankers, and you know, they don't look at like, oh, the bankers are, what are the bankers being propped up by? The government, Obama's government. They would have failed and been replaced by more honorable institutions if they were allowed to fail. But instead, they got bailed out by trillions of dollars of taxpayer money and were allowed to continue the same practices that they were doing before, guaranteeing that we'll have another economic collapse. The same things will continue if we don't somehow grow our way out of this problem with prosperity. If Trump can lower the spending and lower the taxes enough to get the engine of capitalism moving and get the wealth generated enough to where it can kind of counterbalance out that bubble that we've been building. It's going to be close, ladies and gentlemen, but we just got to keep the Democrats out of office if we don't want a spectacular economic collapse, and if we want just common sense capitalism and peace happening in our country, and some secure borders so we can maintain some semblance of culture. That's all we're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen. Maintain some semblance of sanity. Oh, but it's a beautiful time to be alive, man. I wouldn't have it any other way. At least we have the internet. We can have some little community here. We can exchange ideas and stuff, and we can make troll posts on Twitter and Facebook, and really trigger the idiots on the left, and have a lot of fun, and trigger the idiots on the right. There are plenty of idiots on the right. I mean, you know, some people still think George Bush was a good guy. Hey. But you know, everybody gets fooled now and then. I voted for Obama in 08. I got duped, and I learned my lesson. You know, we all have a learning process. So we can't be too harsh on the people that haven't been exposed to the ideas yet. But once you've been exposed to the ideas and you still reject them, then we're going to have to start trolling you on Facebook, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, I'm going to be at the Fourth Wall Comedy Club, North Hollywood, California tonight, getting goofy on stage. And if you're in LA, come out. It's a fun time. We'll drink some beers. We'll laugh it up. Yeah, man. Outrage Cast. We're gonna be trying to get some more sketches up on Outrage TV. I'm trying to get in contact with my compadres. And yeah, Dog Runner, if you're new to the channel, check out our sketches that we made in the past year or so. We got some hilarious stuff on there I think you'd enjoy. Yeah, dude, share this out on Facebook. I'm Nick Jordan on Facebook. I'm Nick Jordan himself on Instagram. I'll be posting clips up there. The Outrage Cast is on Stitcher and iTunes. You can listen to the audio version of this anytime you want. And yeah, guys, I'm trying to get this up by 1 p.m. every day, Pacific time. I'm trying to be on here streaming, talking to you wonderful people out there. Yeah, I wonder, you're the first person I've heard say that the stream is choppy, so maybe, I don't know, if more people are experiencing the same thing, let me know. Everything looks clear on my end, and the playback, it seems to be clear when I post the videos up. So, yeah, George Bush was a total fraud. There was nothing actually conservative about that dude. Or, yeah, he was just a warmonger for the big oil companies. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's the stream for today. I'll check in with you tomorrow, and we'll have some more fun tomorrow. But until then, ta-ta for now, my beautiful friends. Outrage Cast. I'm Nick Jordan. I'll catch y'all later.